Colin, welcome to People in Legal from Dye Durham.
Thank you.
How are you finding Lawfest today?
Fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. Great range of people from the industry, from New Zealand, lots of great companies, lots of legal people. I'm meeting with some of our customers and partners on the ground, which has been fantastic. And I've never been in New Zealand, so first time ever.
Great. So welcome.
Thank you very much.
I understand you've been on a world tour for the last couple of weeks, or certainly on this side of the world. So in Australia and obviously now here.
Yep.
Now, Dye Durham, this is like you've just bought the business that you're operating here in New Zealand?
So we bought the Affinity business from LexisNexis, and so we have customers here. So we're out meeting with a lot of our customers and to work with them, and to continue to invest in them and into our customer community as well.
Okay, that's cool.
Which is great.
Okay, so could you just give us an overview of yourself, a bit of your history, what you do at Dye Durham, and any interesting facts we might like to know?
Oh gosh, there's probably way too many, but anyways. So I live in Ireland. So based in Dublin, Ireland. My wife is Korean, Suk, and my daughter is Ellie, who's 14, almost 15, big into football, as lots of people know. So I joined Dye Durham in November of last year. I was our VP of Global Sales, which has been absolutely fantastic. So we have offices in the UK, Canada, Australia, and in South Africa as well. So great reach. So I've been traveling around trying to meet with all the teams, customers, prospects, and partners over the last couple of months, which has been really, really exciting. I've been involved in technology for quite some time, for almost 20 years. So I've seen the evolution and growth of technology, and I'm really passionate and excited about the positive impact that and disruption I think that technology can have, both from a business perspective, but also from a societal perspective as well. Sure. Which is why I love legal technology, because it supports the legal industry, but also supports things like access to justice, for example.
That's right. Interesting way you talk about that kind of, legal tech and how that is, around the markets that we operate. Yeah, I mean, do you see any big changes happening in that space, over the last couple of years or perhaps, in the future?
Yeah, I mean, I think technology adoption is really interesting because in different countries and different markets, it changes.
Sure.
Some countries are more further advanced with regards to like cloud adoption and certain technology adoption. And you can see how that has kind of transformed how legal services are being delivered. I think one of the really interesting things that we're starting to see now are things like law firms that are offering not just a billable hour model, but actually a subscription model for certain services. So we're seeing more of these kind of companies starting up. Then you've got a lot of consulting law firms as well, where you've got a core platform which is available, and then you've got various consultants who work as part of that organization, but they've got more flexible time and hours with the support of the company and technology in the middle that facilitates all of that, which is exciting. And obviously generative AI is, the big,
I guess I was probably driving towards that. Yes. I'm quite interested that you kind of didn't really drive on that part of the conversation. But when you talk about billable hours and subscription models, what do you think, being from the European market, which is very much billable, which is very much kind of fixed pricing type model. And when you come over to Australia and New Zealand, it's still the billable hour type model. Is that much more, in your view and your experience, a cultural, a market, a legislation, a technical? What drives that change across the different markets?
Yeah, I mean, I think so I work out of the UK office 3 days a week, which is great. So I get some insights into there. The billable hour still leads the way, very much so, in all the markets we operate in. I think what we're starting to see is technology is allowing law firms to understand that there may be a different way of offering and delivering their services, and as a result, a different way of being able to charge for those services. On a flip side, from a client or from an end client perspective, expectations of clients of law firms are changing as well.
Yep.
So maybe they don't want to use the billable hour. They want to have a subscription type service. So for example, maybe for things like wills, as I grow older, unfortunately, the needs that I have with regards to developing and creating wills changes and evolves. Because, my circumstances change.
Sure.
So that could be a subscription model rather than me just paying once every, 10 years for a new will to be drawn.
Okay. And so then, if we kind of follow that on from legal tech and then AI in the future, you've heard a few things, talked about here at Lawfest, and I'm sure you've been to many events last week and over the weeks. Where do you see AI coming in? Is it as much a disruptor in this market as we're hearing, or?
I think so. I think one of the interesting challenges is going to be, and what we're seeing is, and I've spoken to a good few legal tech AI companies, is how do you go in and create value within a law firm without eating into the billable hour time?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's going to be a really interesting, challenge that law firms are going to have. Is like, do I adopt technology that allows me to automate and do an awful lot of the services that I would normally charge X amount of money for, whilst making sure that I can bill a certain amount of time every single month? Will that free up more time for lawyers to do more interesting work with their clients? I'm not quite sure. I don't know. We still don't know how that's going to pan out. I think what AI is going to really do is to probably create more opportunity for leveling the playing field for access to justice. And we've seen that with services that are coming out there where, people who use law firms, whether that's businesses or individuals, can go out and do more and more research for themselves, so they're more informed when they go into the legal offices to get their actual opinion. And it's funny, somebody, one of the speakers earlier on mentioned, Richard Susskind had said, clients don't need lawyers, they need outcomes. And so I think with AI and with a lot more information at our fingertips, clients can go get a certain amount of information, go to a lawyer to get reassurance that what the outcome is has been reviewed and balanced.
Knowing what they need.
More fun.
The way you describe it, though, it seems to be much more, I read that as much more evolutionary rather than revolutionary. And again, there's this piece around revolution. There's talk you hear around AI is the equivalent of the industrial revolution, the invention of the steam engine, etc. Right. So
yes,
so from what I just heard you say, that to me is much more about the legal firm, the legal industry trying to protect their jobs, and how AI will come in. It's much more complementary and everything else like that, as opposed to it actually making a real change to the way in which those services are delivered.
I think evolution is probably more applicable because you will always need the human element, the relationship piece, the context to an awful lot of what's been reviewed and evaluated and presented by AI tools. But then you've got the human element that comes in on that, and that's where that's why I think it's an evolution rather than suddenly we're going to replace all the lawyers.
It's less about the knowledge and more about the relationship and the delivery of those outcomes.
And I think the context of the information that's given, that comes from the human element. I don't think AI can do so.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah. It's fascinating.
I agree.
No matter which way.
It's uncharted.
Absolutely. It's so exciting.
Earlier on in the podcast, we talked about buying the LexisNexis business here in New Zealand. I didn't give you the opportunity to talk more about Dye Durham. So tell the audience a little bit more about your business in its entirety, what the products and where things are going.
Brilliant, yeah. So we support the legal industry we've been around for many, many years. The couple of areas where we spend a lot of time, energy and effort on, one is around supporting the conveyancing property transactions through search products. And then the other piece is around practice management solutions and a couple of then supporting products that will work within law firms as well. But search and kind of practice management are the two core areas that we focus on. And practice management for us is like really, really core to obviously supporting legal firms and how they manage their business, how they manage their client relationships, how they grow their business as well. And so PMS is a really big part of it.
Okay, and presumably that's largely cloud-based or premise-based?
We've got a mix between on-premise and cloud solutions available and different solutions across different markets as well. Depending on the local needs.
Nice. Okay, all right, cool. Colin, thank you very much.
Nice to meet you.
Cheers.